Hi, and welcome to a brand new episode of Catching Up with the Backs. This week, I'm very pleased to be joined by Anaheim Ducks defenseman Josh Manson, who played for the Backs for 2 seasons, 2009-2010 and 2010-2011. Thank you, Josh, for joining me. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Doing good.
I want to start with, we're going to talk about your career, of course, your 2 seasons here in Salmon Arm, your NCAA career, and then the NHL. But where are you joining us from, and how have you been the past few weeks?
I am currently in Newport Beach, California. My wife, who I met out here, so she's from here. So we stayed here pretty much all summer throughout the quarantine, and haven't had a chance to make it back to Canada with everything going on. We had a new baby back in April, so that was exciting. So yeah, we've been stuck here in Newport.
Just quickly here, first child. What is it like to be a dad?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, you can't really put it into words until you actually get to live it, and you feel the love that you have for your child. It's something special, and it's been an amazing, even though it's been this whole COVID thing and quarantine, it's been a blessing in disguise that I've got to spend the last 7 months with my daughter and wife.
Let's go back to when you were a kid. So you were born just outside Chicago. Your father, of course, a longtime NHLer. At the time, he was with the Blackhawks. Can you talk about, I guess, moving around a little bit when you were a kid from city to city? What do you remember from growing up and then eventually going back to Prince Albert?
Yeah, I don't remember too much, but I do remember little bits of all the moving that we did. My parents did a phenomenal job of just making it seem like everyday life. We didn't really understand anything different. It was just kind of what we did. It was the way our family lived, and they did a great job with handling it. So kudos to them. And then once he was finished playing, we moved back to Prince Albert, and we kind of changed lifestyles a bit. We'll say from living in the NHL cities and whatnot to going back to Prince Albert, a little bit more of homegrown kind of roots town. Where you could plant your roots and feel good and get to know your neighbors and things like that. You know what I mean? So that was a good experience for me. I think that's really what shaped me as a person was moving back to Prince Albert and being engrossed in the culture there of just how strong hockey is and just being a good person. I like to think everybody from our hometown is really good people. So it taught me a lot, and I'm thankful that my parents made the decision to move back there.
Do you have any like lessons you remember maybe out on the pond and like having an NHL father teaching you? Do you have any memories from when you were a kid playing with the Mintos or pond hockey? Anything stand out?
No memories of him teaching me anything in particular. He was really good with that. He only would answer questions if asked. He never forced anything on me. So I respect him a lot for that, because I know how hard that can be. I'm sure for a lot of parents out there, they want to press all their information and all their knowledge into their kids. But he was never like that. He was always there as a sounding wall if I needed him to be, but he never pushed it on me, which was great. I think only real memories I have, obviously I remember playing for the Mintos and doing all those things. But you mentioned the pond hockey, playing in the outdoor rinks, or my grandpa would always shovel off the rink on the lake up at Christopher Lake in the wintertime, and I'd play hockey with my cousins, and that was always a really, really fun thing. You always learned a couple of tricks from them because they were good hockey players as well.
Now, after 2 seasons with the AAA Mintos, you did decide to come out to Salmon Arm here and play with the Silverbacks. Can you just explain maybe the reasoning behind going the junior A route and why the Silverbacks, why you made that decision?
So interestingly enough, I really didn't understand what junior A was right up until the decision was made. In my mind, growing up in Prince Albert, I always wanted to play in the WHL, and I wanted to play for the Raiders, and I ended up getting listed with the Raiders. I never was drafted. I wasn't too great of a player growing up. But then Bruno Campesi was the coach of the Raiders at the time, and I came to camp, and he said, you're not good enough to make it, essentially, is what the conversation came down to. You're not good enough to make it, and then maybe next year when you do, you're not going to be around when you're 20 years old. And it was a tough pill to swallow. But he brought up the thought of going to play junior A in British Columbia, something I had never even thought about before, and that's where he had come from, coaching previously, I think. So that's when I got in touch with Ryland Furster, and the wheels kind of got in motion, and I flew out to BC. I went to Powell River first, and I went to Salmon Arm, and just with Firsty being there, I felt a little more comfortable being in Salmon Arm, and thank goodness I did. It was the best decision that I know I've ever made in my hockey career.
So what do you remember your first season here? Eventually you made the switch from forward to D, which I can't imagine was too easy, but what do you remember about your first season as a Silverback?
I just remember it being a lot of fun. You know, it was the first time I'd moved away from home, and we had some good teammates on our team with good players as well. You know, we had Mark Zengerle my first year, and obviously he lit it up. I think he tied for the scoring lead or won the scoring lead that year. Yeah, he was okay. So yeah, I had some good teammates, and you know, my billets, Brad and Jody Crocker. Right when I moved in, they had Zoe. She was like 6 weeks old, I think. So that was a whole new experience for me living with billets, and they just made it amazing. You know, I can't stress enough how important it is having good billets, because it makes the transition so much easier, especially on a person like me who had never lived away from my family coming in. So they made the transition a lot easier for me, and all around that whole first year, I had a lot of fun, and it was just an eye-opening experience, and got to focus so much on hockey. You know, I was just graduated high school, so focus on the hockey side of things, and just go out and play and have fun with it.
Now, team-wise, that second year, you guys had a real good year, 38 wins. You made it to the Interior Division Final. What changed on the ice team-wise from the first year to the second year to give you guys success?
I think we had some good young guys that filled roles, right? Like, we got a little bit older, and we filled some pretty important roles. We brought in a couple good players. We got our the goalie that we had at the time, who was standing on his head for us. New coach coming in with Tim Keller, and everything kind of mixed into this great concoction, and all the guys on the team were so great. I mean, we all got along so well. We had so much fun, and it just made playing and coming to the rink every day a lot of fun. And when you're having success and you're having fun, I mean, you just keep going on that run, and that's kind of what we did.
What do you remember from that playoff run? You guys beat Merritt, you beat Penticton, you faced off against Vernon. I can only imagine how loud the building was here for that Interior Final. What do you remember from the playoff run?
I remember the first series being a grind. And the second, to be honest. They were tough series, but the first one I remember, I think it was Merritt, right? Yeah. Playing in Merritt, like, I just remember felt like it was so rough, such a rough series, and we fought tooth and nail for that one. And then to go in and to pick to Penticton, we felt like we knew we were going to win. That was kind of the mentality we had with our team, was that we truly thought we'd win. And then going up against Vernon, I mean, I think did we win the first game? Yeah. It was the first game, and then we got swept.
It was two. You guys got two games.
First
and then, yeah.
I don't want to say this was the reasoning why, but I had heard that behind the scenes there was somebody that said they wouldn't win another game, and it might have put a little hoax on us or curse. I'm not going to say that was the reason we ended up losing, but there was somebody I know behind the scenes that said something like that. And when I found out about that later, you know, I'm a little superstitious. Okay. In the words of Michael Scott, I'm a little stitious, not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. And so I was pretty upset about that, because I really thought if we got through Vernon, we were going to go all the way, because we had a really deep and threatening team.
Can you talk to me about your scholarship to Northeastern, how that kind of came about and when it did?
So I had never talked to a team my whole year on forward, and then I switched to defense, and everything kind of came together for me. And I hadn't talked to Northeastern at all, actually. There was a coaching switch that was going on over there. Little did I know at the time. I had committed verbally to Quinnipiac, and then I got drafted by the Ducks. And for my progression, the Ducks wanted me to try to get into college next year. And my scholarship for Quinnipiac wasn't for 2 years. Mm-hmm. So I had to have a call with them, and they couldn't make it work. So I ended up switching to Northeastern last minute. They had an opening come up, and with a new coaching staff and a kid leaving. And so I just I think it all happened in July, and I was there. And it was like the draft was end of June. Yeah. Training camp, summer camp for Ducks was early July, end of June, early July. And then I committed to Northeastern like 2 weeks after that. And then I was gone in August. It was just an absolute whirlwind. Yeah. But it worked out great. I mean, Northeastern was another place that just kind of stumbled, same as kind of Salmon Arm did, stumbled on my lap. Northeastern stumbled on my lap. And it was a great place for me.
Let's go back just a little bit, back to the draft, because I do want to know, after your second season in Salmon Arm, what that experience was like, a 6th-round pick of the Ducks. Going in, can you just explain from your perspective what your day was like, your draft day experience? What was it like?
It's funny. I just went through this with one of our Ducks reporters, but it wasn't very special, to be honest. Well, it was special in its own way, but it wasn't like what other people would say where, oh, I was sitting in the rink and I got called, or I was waiting by the phone and I knew it, whatever. I had no idea. Like my agent, Ross Gurney, he told me that it might be from whatever time. He's like, I'm not sure if you're going to get drafted. You know, you might, there's a chance a couple teams are interested. Go golfing, go take your mind off things. So I woke up, whatever time it was, and I was brushing my teeth. And all of a sudden I got a call from Ross saying, like, you just were drafted to the Ducks, and caught me so off guard. I had no idea that it had already started like that early in the morning. It must have been on the East. I was in Minnesota, I think, the year I got drafted. But it caught me so off guard, and I wasn't around anybody. I was the only person at home, so like I couldn't even look over at my family. I couldn't look over my friends. But I met up with them later on that night, and we all celebrated and had a good time. And it was exciting and special in its own way.
Awesome. You mentioned how you kind of stumbled upon Northeastern and it worked out. Your first year there, can you talk about that transition? Maybe how the BCHL helped your transition to the NCAA?
Yeah, well, I think the BCHL is arguably the best league in Canada to prepare yourself for college hockey. I think in the BCHL, for me, it was a little different because I was a forward the first year and a defenseman the second year, so I was really learning the position in Salmon Arm. It's a lot faster, I'll say. The BCHL is a fast game, which is probably the biggest help when you transition into college hockey, because college hockey is the next step and everybody's fast and skilled. So playing in a fast league is something that really helped me with the defensive side of things, because I could help slow the game down a little bit. I'm not going to say it was slow when I got to Northeastern. The first game, I think I felt like there was 5 bumblebees just kind of buzzing around my head. I didn't really know what was going on. But it was good for my progression in that sense of just kind of matching the speed as best as you probably can.
The fans here, the community of Salmon Arm, what stands out? What do you remember about playing in this city?
Well, I remember loving the city. I know I like the city itself. I was there a little bit in the summer, obviously, pop in and out, and then obviously how amazing it is to live right on the shoe swap, and all the things that you have at your leisure there. And then the winter time shuts down a little bit, slows down a little bit, right? But still the hockey, like once that kind of slows down, that's when the hockey picks up and the fans all flood to the rink, you know what I mean? And so there was times where we'd have the big games, Vernon or whatever it is, Penticton. So I think it's Penticton because they were good. We sometimes got good crowds against them, but definitely the Vernon games made it so much fun. I mean, it got loud in there. And what an amazing rink. I mean, that rink was so much fun to play in. I remember stepping in there playing in juniors and going, this seems a little nicer than the junior rinks that I know of, at least what I had in my mind. I was thinking the WHL was kind of the best rinks you could get, whatever. And I was wrong. I mean, I loved playing at that rink. I think that was a huge attribute to loving going to the rink every day, because we got to go there. So yeah, it was, and the fans, obviously, when you get the games where they filled the building, it was a lot of fun, man. That place got loud when you did good things. I mean, I think we had a line brawl the one game, and I remember sitting in the penalty box with my buddy, and that was like, that vividly stands out of my mind, how loud the crowd was, and everybody was going nuts, and they were so excited, and just loving watching hockey, which makes it a fun place to play.
Perfect. A couple questions quickly about Northeastern, and then we'll get to your pro career. Your third season, you were named captain at Northeastern. Just want to know what that honor kind of meant to you when you found out.
It was special. I mean, I always kind of considered myself as a person who wanted to be in a leadership role on a team. And my first year at Northeastern, I was feeling things out. I was a little uncomfortable learning the position. There was a lot of things going on. Second year, I started to feel it a little bit more of how I could contribute in the room. And by the end of that second year, I kind of knew just by the guys we had in that room, excuse me, that I wanted to be the leader. Like I wanted to be the captain. I wanted to take hold and take charge of the team. I felt like I knew the direction that the team wanted to go, our coaching staff wanted to go with it, and the way that I wanted to go with it, and that the group needed to go. So when they did say, that they wanted me to be the captain, I was very honored and very excited because I knew there was big things to lie ahead for that organization.
And that season, your junior year, you were named Hockey East Best Defensive Defenseman. What do you think kind of helped contribute to your strong year, whether it was coaches or things that happened? What do you think contributed to that strong season?
Well, it was a culmination of everything. I mean, it was the coaching staff putting their time in with me, whether it be video or whether it be on ice, my agility. What helped so much playing in Northeastern was in Hockey East, all the players, for the majority, are a little smaller size, like college hockey players, right? And super skilled. And that was where I felt like I needed to get a lot better. Was I had the physicality, but I needed to work on my feet. I needed to work on my positioning because I was trying to keep up with the smaller guys. So my coaches helped me a lot with that, a lot with my angles and positional play. And then, the teammates I had, making it easier to play. I always say you can't be a great defenseman without some half-decent teammates helping you out with your angles and slowing down the really fast forwards. So that was important. And my off-ice work, the strength coach that we had, Dan Boothby, he helped me immensely with my strength and just feeling good on the ice and being able to feel like I could dominate a game physically and impose a little bit of that on the other players and make it a lot tougher to play against.
Now, after your third season, you make the decision to turn pro. Can you just explain kind of the factors that went into signing a 2-year deal with the Anaheim Ducks?
It was a big decision for me because I only had 1 year left. I didn't have very many college credits or courses left to graduate. Graduating was something that was very important to me going into it. When I talked to my parents of going the college route. But at the end of the day, I had the conversation with my parents and I had it with my coach, and we all felt like I was ready in every aspect. I was ready as a person. I was ready to step out of Northeastern and turn into a professional. I was ready physically. That was the best I've felt. Felt strong and ready to go compete against men, essentially, because it's a big step from college to pro. And I felt, just emotionally, that was where I wanted to be in the sense of I wanted to move my career forward.
You did play in 9 games right at the end of that college season, but I just want to fast forward to the next year, split between the NHL and the AHL. That first year of pro hockey, what do you remember from that season, what it was like for you?
It was a grind. I mean, you see what going from college where you only play on the weekends to going to professional hockey where you play, the AHL not quite as much, but I mean the AHL you'll play some 3-on-3s, and in Norfolk where I was playing, some of those were bus trips, 9-10 hours, overnighters where you're sleeping and playing the next day. So it takes a big toll on your body, and it's not an easy league to play in. It's physical and it's mean, and you're playing against big strong guys. So I remember that being a big adjustment for me, just wrapping my head around that. You're not going to be able to physically dominate every single game compared to how it was in college. And going up to NHL, AHL, from college, the biggest difference I noticed was just the positional awareness of the players, more so at AHL than college, and then even another big step going to the NHL. That it helped my game personally so much more because, the guys are faster and they take away your time and space a lot quicker, but you also have players that are in position to move the puck to. You don't have to create so many plays by yourself because you can get rid of the puck quicker to guys who are open and want the puck.
Now, your NHL debut, if I'm not mistaken, was on Halloween 2014
Yes.
against the Dallas Stars. What do you remember from your NHL debut? Well,
I remember the first couple games when I got called up in October. I didn't get in the lineup. I think it was Chicago first, and then we went to St. Louis. And in St. Louis, we had a guy go down, and I sitting on the bus, and Bruce Boudreau came up on the bus to me after the game and said, well, and I think they lost in St. Louis too. Actually, I know they lost in St. Louis. And he's like, well, I hope you're ready to go. And I was like, all right, here we go. And then, so we went into Dallas, and I kind of knew I was playing it from that point on. And my mom and my best friend from Canada and his dad, and my grandpa as well, they all came to Chicago thinking I was going to play. And then they came to St. Louis thinking I was going to play, but I never did. So then they're like, well, we can't go to Dallas. So they flew home. But my best friend from college, and this is so important because, I mean, you'll make your best friends. I still have friends from San Bernardino that I talk to. I have friends from Northeastern that I talk to. And one of my best friends from Northeastern flew from Long Island the night before the game down to Dallas to watch me for first game. So that was really special to me.
Awesome. Now, I just want to know, walking into an NHL dressing room kind of for the first time, guys like Getzlaf, Perry, you know, those big veterans, what that felt like for you coming in as a younger guy.
Yeah, it was intimidating. I mean, especially me growing up in Saskatchewan. I mean, Getzy, he's a big name in Saskatchewan. He is the guy in the hockey world, in my eyes, in Saskatchewan. Established himself. You knew he was a leader on the team, and, you know, all of his accomplishments in life. So coming in, I was ready to learn from him and the other guys as well on how to become a pro and how to carry myself and the things I needed to do. And quickly you learn that, you know, as good a hockey players as they are, they're all still people at the end of the day, and they're all good guys, and you know, they want to help you in any way. And the biggest thing I found was going into drills with those guys in practice. You know, that was an opportunity to really get better. I mean, how better to test yourself than going one-on-one against Ryan Getzlaf in the corner and seeing where you're at physically, you know? And I still do that to this day. And we laugh about it, and it makes it a lot of fun. But what a better way to push yourself.
Yeah. Your first NHL goal, November 15th, 2015 against the Blue Jackets. Talk me through that goal from your perspective.
Well, I remember the goal well because I see it when people talk about it in the videos or whatever it is. I see some stuff like that. So I remember I think Pears got the puck and he went around the net, and he ended up passing it from the far side cross ice to me, kind of sneaking down top of the circles. And sure enough, Hampus was already starting to fill that. He was trying to get the puck too, but I fended him off and took the puck for the blocker. It was special. It was always nice to get that one out of the way, because then you're not feeling like, how long is it going to take for me to score the first goal, you know?
Yeah. Now, in your second full season with the Ducks, you guys went all the way to the conference final. So just want to know kind of what sticks out with your memories from that long playoff run. You beat the Flames, you beat the Oilers, and then just fell to the Predators. But what do you remember most from that playoff run?
Oh, how physically taxing it was. I mean, you really don't, as fans, you know, you see the game and you know it's physical and you see that it's physical, but you don't really understand how physical it is. There's so many guys that have injuries that you know about, right? Like afterwards it comes out, oh, this guy was playing through this guy's playing through this. Well, you may not have a serious injury like that, but I'm telling you, every single guy is beat up. Like you're tired physically, you're starting to wear mentally. You know, you're getting beat up, whether it be from hacks and whacks, you got a little bruise here, you blocked a shot here, you got this going on. And so you're just beat down, but you're so excited of the fact that you get to play in the playoffs. And like every time you go into the rink, the fans going wild. That's why I have a lot of respect for those guys that just played in the bubble with no fans, because that's a lot of where the energy that you have gets drawn from. You know, you step on the ice and all those pains and those aches, they go away right away because you're just engrossed in this atmosphere. So I have a lot of respect for what those guys did. But yeah, that was the biggest thing I remember. It was physically taxing playing against Calgary and then going up and playing in Edmonton. And I think it was Lucic. They had Lucic on that team, and now Cassian. They had guys. Yeah, it was physical and it was tough.
Just a few more here because I don't want to take up too much of your time, but to be named an assistant captain with the Ducks. I mean, you're now in the NHL and you've got an A on your jersey. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's like I said before, I'm I always knew that I wanted to be leaders on a team. That was something that I took a lot of pride in. And part of my game is, being a leader, the way I carry myself. So when last year Dallas Eakins came up to me and said, we want you to wear the A full time, I was very honored. I mean, there's a lot of good leaders in our locker room, and there's a lot of good players on our team. And so for him to say that and ask me, I was very honored. It was very special. Was it a goal of mine? Yeah, for sure. I think I wanted to establish myself in the NHL, and the first step of establishing myself was, well, you got to play your first game, and then it was, okay, well, now you got to get into regular. You got to be a regular on the team. You got to make the team at a camp. You got to, and just every step of the way. And I think this was another one of those things that really was on the checklist of establishing myself as an NHL player.
Now, while we're all kind of hoping and waiting for the start of the next NHL season, it's been reported in the media, January 13th. It looks like, hopefully, that will be the start date. Just want to know how excited you are to finally be able to have that date, and when you might go to Ducks camp.
Well, I'm in Anaheim right now, so I've been with very extensive protocols at our practice facility, going to the rink for the last while here, and training and skating and preparing for the season. And that's been, the toughest part of this is these dates that are thrown out, and you're expecting to play then, and you're gearing up for then, and then it gets dragged out another month, and then you're okay, keep training and grinding, and it's kind of, I think it starts to wear on guys a little bit, because you're amping up, and then, okay, hold it, okay, amp up, and then you hold it a little bit more. Eventually it takes its toll, but I think now with this January 13th, everybody's a lot more hopeful that that's a realistic day that we could get going. And I think, we're all going to be very ready to hit the ice if that does happen, and we're excited to do so.
We have a fan question that I just want to quickly ask you here, submitted from Landon on Instagram. He asks, what are the Canucks like to play against? Of course, a lot of Vancouver fans here in and around Salmon Arms. So what stands out when you play the Canucks?
Well, it's always fun to come back to BC, first of all. My billets, billet Jody, she'll come down with Zoe, and they'll be on the glass for a lot of the games this year, or the last couple of years. So that was always fun seeing them. I got a couple buddies, Devin Gannon, who used to play on the team. He's in Vancouver now, so I get to go see him, and that's always special. But the team in particular, it was very fun playing against the Sedins. I had a lot of respect for their game and the way they played. That was I would say the first people I played against where I had to really think, but it definitely was a different dynamic with the two of them. When you went on the ice, having to understand that they were always looking for each other, and you couldn't over pressure on one, because he would just slide it through to the other one. So you always kind of had to be very aware of where you were positionally and not overcommitting with those guys, because they were so talented. So that was the most interesting thing about playing the Canucks, Landon. Well, now it's different guys. Obviously, you got some Pettersson and those guys, but that was my first experience with the Canucks.
Last question here, and then I'll let you go. Just want to know if you have, as someone who's made it, any advice for junior players who, are hoping to one day, they aspire to play at the highest level. What advice would you tell them? Don't look straight to the NHL and go, oh, I gotta make the NHL. It's a goal. Obviously, that was my goal. As a hockey player, everybody wants to make the NHL. If you ask any hockey player, he's going to say, "No, I don't want to play in the NHL." That's somebody who is already given up in their mind. But you got to just set little goals for yourself. Like I just said about being a bona fide NHL player. I wanted to play my first game. I wanted to make the team out of camp. I wanted to do this, and just keep setting those goals and keep achieving or trying to hit those goals. And then as you do, you set another one a little bit higher. And that was kind of how I handled my whole hockey career was, well, okay, I didn't make the WHL. I'm going to go to junior route, and I'm going to play juniors. And okay, I got to get to college, and that was my next goal. Okay, try to get a scholarship. Go to college, and now it's like, okay, I'm drafted. I want to get out of college, and I want to make the NHL. But even in those little steps was like, I want to be the best defenseman on this team first before I go to the NHL. So it's just setting those little goals and trying to hit them the whole way, and working hard the whole way through it. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us, Josh, and good luck when the season gets underway.
Yeah, thank you.